Imagine this: you've been texting, laughing, feeling a real connection, and then suddenly he pulls away. The calls slow down, the texts become shorter, and you're left staring at your phone wondering, should I ignore him? Will silence bring him back, or will it push him further away? This is one of the most common and confusing moments in dating, and I know how tempting it is to play the ignore game. But let's get real. Ignoring a man isn't always the magic key people think it is. Today, I want to share with you the truth about whether ignoring really works when a man pulls away, and 4 powerful shifts that can change the way you handle this situation forever. So, does ignoring work on a man who pulled away? Maybe sometimes silence gets his attention, but the real victory isn't in whether he notices your absence, it's in how you honor your own presence. Because the moment you stop chasing, stop playing games, and start living fully, you become the kind of woman a man never wants to pull away from in the first place. We often believe that ignoring someone is the ultimate act of power. You think, if I don't call, if I don't text, if I go completely silent, he'll notice my absence, he'll start to wonder, he'll chase me again. And yes, in some situations, ignoring can grab someone's attention temporarily. But here's the truth: ignoring alone is not power. What truly makes you powerful is clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you want, and what you will or will not tolerate. That is what creates lasting respect, not games of silence. When a man pulls away, it's easy to feel like the ground beneath you is shaking. You start asking yourself, should I pull back too? Should I ignore him to prove I don't care? Will that make him run back? But what you need to understand is this: ignoring him just to get a reaction keeps your entire focus on him. It's still about what he thinks, what he feels, and what he does. That is not strength, that is reaction. Strength is when your decisions come from your standards, not from his behavior. Think about it. When you are clear about your worth, you don't need to play games. You don't need to trick someone into realizing your value. You live it, you communicate it. You show it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you invest your time, and in the boundaries you uphold. That clarity sends a stronger message than ignoring ever could. Ignoring might make him curious, but clarity makes him respect you. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 women faced with the same situation. One decides to ignore him, but spends every night refreshing her messages, waiting for him to notice. On the outside, she looks like she's in control, but on the inside, her world revolves around him. The other woman doesn't ignore for the sake of strategy. She pauses, she reflects, and she decides, if he is pulling away, I'm not going to chase. I'll give space, but I'll also continue living my life fully. If he comes back, fine. If he doesn't, that's his choice. But I won't lower my standards or abandon myself just to keep him interested. Do you feel the difference? The first woman is ignoring, but she's still trapped. The second woman is not playing games. She's being clear, calm, and grounded. That is what true confidence looks like. Clarity is not about punishing him with silence. It's about showing him, and more importantly yourself, that your self-worth doesn't rise and fall based on how much attention he gives you. When a man starts pulling away, the first instinct most women have is to blame themselves. You replay every conversation, analyze every emoji, and wonder, did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Did I scare him? That spiral of self-doubt can be brutal, but here's what you need to know. Very often, his pulling away has little or nothing to do with you. Men, just like women, go through internal struggles, fears of commitment, stress from work, family pressures, unresolved past hurts, or simply uncertainty about what they want. His distance doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong, and it doesn't mean you're not good enough. The problem is, when you make his behavior a reflection of your worth, you give away all your power. You start thinking the only way to fix it is by changing yourself, texting less, pretending to be busier, or even ignoring him in the hope he'll come running back. But if his withdrawal is rooted in his own doubts or emotional baggage, ignoring him won't heal that. You can't play games with someone's wounds, and you can't control their process of working through fears they might not even understand themselves. What does help is space, not the kind of space that comes from punishment or manipulation, but the kind that comes from emotional maturity. If he's pulling away, let him, not from a place of fear, but from a place of strength. When you step back, not out of insecurity, but out of self-respect, you give him room to figure out what's going on inside him. And here's the key: while he's figuring it out, you don't put your life on hold. You don't sit around in limbo waiting for him to make up his mind. You continue investing in yourself, building your happiness, and creating a life that feels fulfilling with or without him. When you approach it this way, you shift the dynamic entirely. You're no longer saying, "What did I do wrong?" Instead, you're saying, "If he can't meet me where I am, I'll keep moving forward." That subtle change is powerful, because it reminds you that you are not at the mercy of his actions. You can acknowledge that his distance may have roots that have nothing to do with you, and still choose not to let his confusion rob you of your peace. That balance, giving space without losing yourself, is what sets you apart. Silence can stop you from sending a desperate text, but what truly shifts the dynamic isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of energy. You see, men don't just respond to what you say or don't say, they respond to the energy you project. If you're ignoring him on the outside, but obsessively checking his social media, rereading old messages, and constantly wondering when he'll reach out, that energy still seeps through. It shows up in your tone, your body language, and even in the timing of your eventual responses. Ignoring in that case isn't strength, it's just silent anxiety. But when your focus genuinely turns inward, when your energy is no longer chained to waiting for him, something profound happens. You begin to radiate self-worth. Instead of using silence as a strategy, you're simply too engaged with your own life to obsess over whether he's texting. You're spending time with friends who uplift you, pouring energy into hobbies and passions, growing in your career, or just enjoying simple moments that remind you of who you are without him. That's not ignoring, that's living. And living creates a magnetic pull that's far more powerful than any calculated game. A man can sense the difference between a woman who withholds communication just to provoke a reaction and a woman who genuinely doesn't hinge her happiness on his attention. The first creates pressure, the second inspires admiration. Because here's the truth: men are drawn to women who embody fullness, not emptiness waiting to be filled. When you radiate joy, confidence, and independence, you're no longer chasing validation. You're embodying it. That's what makes you unforgettable. Think about it this way. Imagine walking into a room where one person is desperately waiting for approval, every move hinging on how others react. Now imagine another person who walks in grounded, smiling, fully present in their own skin. Which one draws more attention without even trying? It's always the one whose energy is aligned, because authenticity speaks louder than silence ever could. So when he pulls away, the real question isn't, should I ignore him? The real question is, where am I placing my energy right now? Are you shrinking into waiting mode, or are you expanding into your own life? Because it's not the act of silence that makes a man rethink losing you. It's the undeniable glow of a woman who thrives whether he's there or not. That glow is irresistible, and no amount of ignoring can fake it. When most people ask, "Does ignoring work on a man who pulled away?" they're really asking, "Will this make him come back to me?" The entire focus is on whether silence will flip a switch in his mind and reignite his pursuit. But here's the perspective shift that changes everything. The goal isn't to win him back. The goal is to win yourself back. The moment you make this your focus, the entire dynamic of the situation changes. When a man pulls away, you can easily fall into the trap of chasing his approval, putting your energy into strategies designed to keep him interested. You might start bending your standards, lowering your boundaries, or shrinking yourself in hopes he'll notice. But even if he does return, you've lost something more important along the way. You've sent yourself the message that his attention matters more than your self-respect. that his presence matters more than your own peace. That's a dangerous place to be because it keeps your worth tied to someone else's behavior. Now imagine the alternative. Instead of seeing his withdrawal as something to fix, you treat it as information. You step back and ask yourself, is this situation giving me the love, consistency, and security I deserve? This mindset doesn't mean you become cold or dismissive. It means you reclaim your power of choice. If he returns ready to meet your standards, you can decide whether he aligns with the life you're building. If he doesn't return, you've already chosen not to abandon yourself for the sake of holding on to him. Either way, you win, because your sense of value was never dependent on what he chose to do. There's something deeply magnetic about a woman who knows she is whole on her own. A woman who doesn't crumble just because someone pulled away, but instead uses the space to reflect, grow, and reaffirm her worth. That energy is far more attractive than the temporary thrill of winning him back through games. And even more importantly, it protects you from settling for crumbs when what you truly want is a feast. So instead of asking, does ignoring work? Start asking, am I honoring myself in this situation? Because the real victory isn't in getting him to chase again. It's in knowing that, no matter what he does, you never stop choosing yourself. That is the kind of power no one can take away from you. When we ask whether ignoring a man works after he pulls away, what we're really searching for is certainty. Certainty that we won't lose him. Certainty that we won't be left behind. Certainty that he'll remember our value. But the truth is, there is no game, no silence, no clever strategy that guarantees control over someone else's choices. What you can control, and what will always make the biggest difference, is how you choose to respond to yourself in that moment. The real strength is not in manipulating him into returning, but in standing firmly in your own worth, no matter what he decides to do. Every key point we've explored comes back to one truth. Your power lies in clarity, not confusion. It lies in recognizing that his distance often has little to do with you, and in choosing to pour your energy into yourself rather than waiting in limbo. It lies in remembering that your goal isn't to win someone who is unsure, but to win yourself, your peace, your confidence, and your joy. When you stand in that place of self-respect, you stop asking, how do I get him back? And start asking, does this relationship even serve me anymore? That is when the balance shifts, because you are no longer reacting, you are deciding. There is also something liberating in understanding that silence alone is not power. It is what you do with that silence that matters. If you use the space to wait anxiously, you remain trapped. But if you use it to grow, to reconnect with your passions, and to nurture your own happiness, you transform the very energy you bring to the relationship. That transformation creates a presence so radiant and grounded that whether he returns or not, you remain whole. That is the kind of woman no man forgets, because her worth was never in question, not to him and not to herself. So, does ignoring a man who pulled away really work? The answer is this. It might spark his attention, but the deeper truth is that the only thing that truly works in every situation is choosing yourself. Because once you understand your own value, once you realize that your time, your love, and your presence are gifts, not guarantees, you stop settling for games. You start demanding the kind of love that meets you at your level. And whether he comes closer or drifts away, you remain powerful, unshaken, and free. That is the real victory, and that is the message I want you to carry forward. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Your time and energy mean the world, and I truly hope the insights you've heard today give you clarity, confidence, and peace in your relationships. Remember, your value is never defined by someone else's attention. You are already enough, already worthy, and already powerful. If this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful talks on love, dating, and self-growth. Your support helps this message reach more people who need it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences and perspectives. You never know who you might inspire by sharing your story. Until next time, stay confident, stay radiant, and always choose yourself first. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.